Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally, and this is going to wrap up a 30 vlog series on the introduction to project-based learning. And so this isn't going to be the end of PBL. This is just really an introduction as to what it is and its benefit and value, I believe, to both the educational system and to students specifically. And of course, this is my daughter, and she's really the key focal point for me because she's now 11 years old. We're in a virtual classroom. There's a lot of challenges to the virtual landscape, and I really needed to really bring learning home figuratively and literally, and make it more meaningful and impactful for her, just to kind of keep her engaged, because of course she's not physically in the classroom, and I've kept her out for the remainder of the year. So we really needed a better learning structure in order to keep her engaged, interested, and involved in the learning experience. So I'm taking what's going on from the Virginia school system, and I'm re-engaging her so that she's not just doing projects and learning content that is really meaningful and impactful for her. And so with project-based learning, there's 5 key elements. There's the who, the what, the where, the when, and most importantly, the why. And we're going to address, or at least I'm going to address, each of these 5 components in this slideshow. So let's see if it works, and we're going to see some really cool illustrations as we go through it, because I'm also building something on the back end. So let's see what happens. And so, like I said, there's the who, there's the what, there's the where, there's the when, and there's the why. At least that's how I was taught that the 5 W's work. And so let's see what happens with each of those buttons. I kind of like these buttons too. So who? In project-based learning, there's always a who. And so the who is, there's a problem and it impacts somebody. And so it's important to understand who that problem is impacting, but at the same time, in order to solve the problem or address the problem in some way, students learn to communicate with, collaborate with, talk to industry professionals. And that's really key. This isn't just, PBL is not just an enclosed project environment or culture where they're acting alone or just with a small group of their peers in order to solve a problem or do some research or to copy and paste content into a slide deck. PBL goes way beyond that. PBL actually, well, it enforces, I want to say forces, but it really enforces the fact that there are subject matter experts and professionals out there who are already engaged in addressing or solving the specific problem. And it's our job as educators to get our students involved with that kind of communication. So that's the who. Let's go back. So now we're faced with the what. And as you know, I've identified the what as what's going on, what's the problem, and what needs to be addressed. So I've looked at this from an inquiry perspective, but from a funnel perspective. So we start from the large scale problem, which is the probing question, what's going on? And then in order to create a focal point or a project plan or a plan of action, we have to really know what it is we're trying to address. So we have lots of questions to ask. And what, the big question, of course, is our focal point. And I tend to like this picture and, of course, my illustration as well. Where? Where is the problem located? Where is it impacting? And where do we need to focus our attention? So those are big questions, and those are questions that you have to really become part of the research component. After we figure out what it is that we're trying to find out, we then need to go to where the answers are. And so for this particular problem, my adventurers are going on an adventure in search of their friends. So they're in the process of discovery, and they've discovered a hole in the ground, and that hole is actually called Smith's Crack. So you could think of PBL for your students as a way of discovery or a way of adventuring or even a way of being a detective trying to find out some information. All of these paradigms, all of these analogies, and all of these metaphors really work, but it really depends on your students and your classroom environment. When? When is a really important question, because when is the problem really impactful? So when is it more severe than other times? And how soon or how quickly can it be solved, if it can be solved at all? So you can see by my illustration that I have adventurers going through a cavern and they get stuck in some really, really bad, tight places. And now they're going to be attacked by a spider. So, of course, your students are on a journey of discovery, but they're also in a time capsule, meaning that this isn't going on forever because they're in an academic environment. So, you really need to pace out students' level of success. You need to set milestones and you need to set deliverables. And so students need to be aware of this structure. So it's not just a free for all that they're doing whatever and whenever. It is a structured pattern of events. However, you as the teacher and the students get to collaborate on when and how things should be done throughout the course of your unit, whether that's 7, 8, or 9 weeks long, depending on if you're in the K-12 system, at the community college level, traditional college, or an advanced college structure. You really need to work with your students, collaborate with them to decide when things will be delivered and according to what time structure. And then finally, as everybody knows in education, if it's not really meaningful and impactful, we can't answer the why. So the why question is really probably, I think, the most important question to any learning experience, because we get it all the time. Why do I need to learn this? Okay. So this is really where we as adults, as educators, as teachers help our, I want to say our young ones, our students really understand the impact, the application to the real world. Why is what we're studying important? Is it just because we want people to learn a certain piece of content? Hopefully not, because everything that we learn builds on something else, but it really has meaning and impact in how we interact with our world around us. And so that's really critical. Bringing that home to the student is going to be probably your most important, I guess, focal point, uh, important lesson that you need to teach them, is that what they're learning really does have value. So with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap this up. And I'm going to go here. And I tend to like dragons, and that's my white dragon. I'll see you next time. Take care.